Did the person on the iPhone please identify themselves? They're not hooked to audio, are they?
Where you turn it off.
Let's remove them if they don't identify themselves.
Logged in, so we didn't go back and check.
All right, Ms. Schroeder, we're waiting for the jail, okay?
Very good, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. How are you, jail, this afternoon?
Morning, Ron.
All right, let's do Mr. Tremaine Hill Jacobs first.
You're calling. Have a seat over here, young lady.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 23-02101. And sir, you are Tremaine Hill Jacobs, is that correct?
Yes.
Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Jonathan Toby White, P57988.
All right, this is the time set for arraignment. I'm going to read you the charges that have been alleged against you, sir. And I'm going to read you some rights you have in the felony trial. She'll have to leave if you can't. Thanks. So the felony complaint reads that in relation to Tremaine Deontay Hill Jacobs, in the state of Michigan, brought by the people of the state of Michigan in count 1 on or about June 29, 2023 at 3000 Cardiff Court, City of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that yourself, Tremaine Deontay Hill Jacobs, did in count 1 engage in sexual penetration to wit penis and vagina with Shiloh Simon under the following circumstances during the commission of the felony of unlawful imprisonment, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being 750.520B. There's a SORA notice that is along with that. This is a tier 3 offense under the Sex Offender Registration Act, unless the court finds that the victim was between the ages of 13 to 15 inclusively, that consented to the conduct, the defendant was not more than 4 years older than the victim in the SORA notice. There's also an HIV STD testing notice. Take notice that pursuant to the law of the state of Michigan, upon bind over to circuit court or recorder's court, the district court judge shall order the defendant be tested for sexually transmitted infection, hepatitis B infection, and for the presence of HIV or an antibody to HIV. If the judge determines there is reason to believe the violation involves sexual penetration or exposure to a body fluid of the defendant. If the district judge determines the test is not required upon conviction, the court must order the defendant to be tested. This is a life offense, mandatory lifetime electronic monitoring, mandatory AIDS/STD testing, DNA to be taken upon arrest. The court may impose a consecutive sentencing if under the laws of the state of Michigan, it falls under 750.520B3. That's in count 1, sir. In count 2, unlawful imprisonment, usually referred to, did knowingly refrain Shiloh Simon to facilitate the commission of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree, a felony contrary to MCL 750.349B. There is also a SORA notice on this charge, only where the SORA is a Sex Offender Registration Act notice, only where the facts establish the conviction offense have a sexual component pursuant to case law. This is a tier 1 offense under the Sex Offender Registration Act if the victim is a minor. It is a tier 2 offense if the defendant has a prior conviction for a tier 1 Sex Offender Registration Act offense, or tier 3 if the defendant has a prior conviction under tier 2. This is a felony, 15 years and or $20,000. In count 3, which is commonly referred to as interfering with crime report, committing crime / threatening to kill or injure, it is alleged that you did, through the unlawful use of physical force, prevent or attempt to prevent another person reporting a crime committed or attempted by another person, and the violation involved committing or attempting to commit interference with electronic communications against a person contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being 750.483.8 A, parents 2, parents B. It's a felony, 10 years and or $20,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed for any other conviction. Also in count 4, interfering with electronic communications, it is alleged that you did willfully and maliciously prevent, obstruct, or delay by any means the sending, conveyance, or delivery of an unauthorized communication by or through a telephone or telephone line, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being 750.540, parents 5, parent A. That's a felony, 2 years and or $1,000. The count 3 is a felony, 10 years or $20,000 if I did not indicate that earlier. Sir, do you understand the nature of the 4 counts that have been brought against you?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna indicate to you some rights you have. Those are felony counts. So you have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have witnesses against you appear at trial, to question those witnesses against you, to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You also have the right to counsel. You are represented by defense attorney Toby White in this matter, and you're retained for purposes of the arraignment. And Mr. White, are you going to be for purposes that go beyond the arraignment today?
I am.
All right. So I'll indicate that for the record that Mr. Wright is here for arraignment purposes and for purposes past arraignment. Your next hearing date in this matter is the probable cause conference will be held on July 27th, 2023 at 9 a.m. And your preliminary examination will be August 3rd, 2023 at 9 a.m. That's both in front of Judge Ward. Sir, do you have a current address for the court file other than the one provided? I just want to make sure you're not in violation of any no contact order. And right now we have the 3000 Cardiff Court address for you. Is that still a good address that does not place you in violation of any no contact order?
Yes, that's a good address.
All right. So it'll be 3000 Cardiff Court, Lansing, Michigan 48911. And do you have a good contact number for the court file, sir?
Yes.
And what is that?
517-894-2463.
All right, thank you. Are you on probation or parole, sir?
Probation.
All right. Are you employed?
Yes.
And where are you employed, sir?
R&D Landscape.
I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. White, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Governor. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the probation is out of Battle Creek, and it's a misdemeanor domestic violence. Beyond that, I would say he came to us and we were checking on almost a daily basis for 3 or 4 days to wait for this warrant to come out. He'd been advised that it was coming. And we couldn't turn him in until it materialized. It materialized and the fugitive team brought him in without incident with full cooperation yesterday afternoon, I believe it was, or around noon. So he's been fully cooperative with the investigation. He actually, on information and belief, he doesn't even recognize the name of this person. This is not an evidentiary hearing, but his mom, who resides at the same residence, was there on the night in question. She saw him there with an old friend, female friend. Nobody else heard nothing, saw nothing. And so he does not, in his prior record, as short as it is, does not have any failures to show, failure to appear, contempt of court. Obviously, if there was any materiality to this, it would cause a probation violation down there. But we're still dealing with presumption of innocence as we stand here today. So I don't think he'll run. His community ties are to this location, always have been. He's with family and he's employed, and otherwise he's conducting himself as a good citizen and acting and not violating any of his probation terms. Not knowing who this person is, we can put him on a tether He's not a risk to the community, and he's not a risk to flee, but the tether would go a long ways there. Obviously, whoever this complainant is, we can find out where she lives and works, and we can put red zones to make sure that he takes care of his business without going through where she works or where she lives, so that we can protect the alleged victim. Society is protected. We will be returning to court. And so I would say that the only real material aspect is they are very serious allegations, and I acknowledge that. But it's not really stacking up very well in terms of there being legitimacy there. And so I think the community is protected and the lady's protected, and his history is very, very small. And his cooperation in this matter is evident because, like I said, he was in. When the warrant comes down, I'll walk you in. When the warrant comes down, I'll walk you in. And honestly, we checked down here. We called even to Jade Killingsworth-Smith and said, Jade, we don't see him on the warrant list. Is there a warrant? And she checked the most recent warrant entries and said there was. And by the time we got that information to him, he had already been picked up.
All right, thank you. Sir, if you're able to make bond, I'm gonna place the following bond conditions. A GPS tether is ordered, so there is, and that will be zone notification. And that would be with the address of the victim. No use of alcohol or drugs without prescription. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No contact with the victim, who is Shiloh Simmons. No contact within 2,000 feet of where the victim, within the victim's where she lives, works, or goes to school. No firearms. And report to pretrial services within 48 hours if you're released. I do have a bond recommendation from the prosecutor's office concerning protection of the public. The defendant was on probation or parole. Crime charge involves violence towards another person. History of threatening or harassing behavior towards victim or witnesses that I don't know the facts of this case. There is a Xbox checks for record for non-appearance in court proceedings or flight to avoid prosecution. Others associated with the risk of lethality or forced repeated forced sex acts, attempts to isolate victim preventing report. Defendant took her phone while she was dialing 911. He then dragged her out of the vehicle, threw her to the ground, and as she ran down the street screaming for help, he chased after her to try and stop her from getting aid. That's according to the bond recommendation. The people respectfully request 100,000 cash surety, GPS tether, victim notification exclusion zone, and a money bail to be set by the court. Defendant not to be ordered to be present at any residence of Shiloh Simmons, which the court has already done. Defendant be ordered not to have any direct or indirect contact with contact. So that clarifies this. So any contact with Ms. Simmons should not be made direct or indirect. Defendant be ordered not to physically assault Mr. Simmons or anybody else. That's already been done. Defendant not use alcohol nor illicit use any controlled substances. That's already been done. Defendant not to possess any firearm. That's already been done. This and that the bond provided for us without a warrant upon violation conditions and release is a request for the bond recommendations. All of that's all been done. I'm just looking at your prior criminal history concerning this matter, and I do agree with counsel. There's one guilty plea to a misdemeanor assaultive behavior. There's some other nollie process involved. These are serious offenses, but it is I did have the opportunity to review the file. It is a different kind of case. So I'm going to set bond today at 50,000, 10%. So bond is set at 50,000, 10%. So please keep in contact with your attorney, Mr. White, for the probable cause conference set for July 27th at 9 a.m. And then he will instruct you on the preliminary examination on August 3rd. Anything else for the record in docket 2302101, Mr. White?
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right. You're all set, Mr. Hills Jacobs. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Then we have Miss Takesha Culberson.
Yeah,
All right. And Ms. Schroeder, you're here on this case?
Yes, Your Honor, to hear and listen in. She was not
All right.
willing to come out and talk to me, but we already have a file for her.
All right. So we're on the record in docket 2302087. This is a arraignment on a failed to appear, and it looks like a collections issue. Ma'am, you are Takesha Culberson?
yes, sir.
All right. In counsel, are you appearing on this or not? I don't think you are.
I will appear just for purposes of the arraignment, Your Honor, since she is
All
represented
right.
by our office. So,
All right. So go ahead.
thank you. Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder, for purposes of the arraignment on this matter with Ms. Culberson. She is currently represented by our office by way of Mr. I believe it is Luke Goodrich. Let me double check.
All right.
Yes, Luke Goodrich,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Attorney Goodrich.
All right, Ms. Culberson, this is the date and time for an arraignment. I'm going to indicate to you the purposes of the bench warrant that was placed for your arrest and why you're arrested. It was alleged that on July 13th, 2023, you failed to appear for a probable cause conference at 8:30 in front of Judge Simmons. And so a motion affidavit was done by Court Officer Nicholas Bigelow, and it was signed by Judge Simmons. In regards to that, she also made a note in the file, so she obviously remembers this case. Do you understand the nature of the failed to appear warrant that was issued against you concerning this case?
Yeah, the court date at 8:30 was way too early and I had overslept. I didn't try
All
to
right.
miss the opportunity.
All right, well, don't say anything more, but you understand the allegation, correct?
Yes,
All right. I have, for purposes of, I still have that 735 Chicago address, is that correct?
yes, sir.
And I still have the phone number of 517-303-0336?
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
Your new probable cause conference concerning this file that there was a fail to appear on is set for August 4th, 2023 at 8:30. That's in front of Judge Simmons.
okay,
And your preliminary examination is set for August 10th, 2023 at 1:30 in front of the same judge. And it's my understanding you are represented currently, or you were, but you by a public defender, Mr. Goodrich. Is that correct, ma'am?
yeah,
All right. So you have those two dates. I'm assuming everything else from the initial arraignment stands correct. So I will have counsel. And Ms. Schroeder, I don't know if you saw that the bond was set by Judge Simmons at $1,000 cash or surety, no PR bond in this matter. So I think that is the bond. Do you want to be heard on bond concerning the 1,000 cash or surety, no PR bond?
It appears she has some limitations, what she's indicated here. I'd still advocate for a PR bond. I understand what's in the court file.
Right.
It sounds like there are some other things going on here, and she may not have means to make bond prior to the court date.
Right.
I can.
All right. Well, I'm just going by the judge who indicated she failed to appear at the probable cause conference. So I'm not going to change that. Of course, that can be readdressed at the PCC on August 4th. But for our purposes, for July 9th, I'm going to set bond as requested at $1,000 cash surety on bond. Oh, and for Judge Simmons' purposes, no PR until it's readdressed at PCC. Like setting bond takes care of the no PR, I would imagine, but she can be released after a time period. But I would think that this would be readdressed at the probable cause conference, most likely. What happened to Miss Culberson? Miss Culberson, you still there?
Yeah.
All right. I've set bond at the judge's request at $1,000 cash surety. You also have in another file, 23L2775281, you have a balance of $150 due on that file. And I'm just going to refer that to collections to go with some other files. All right.
Okay.
All right. So you should be all set on your arraignment on the bench warrant for failure to appear. I've kept the bond at the judge's suggestion, and I'll indicate for the Register of Actions to refer the balance of $150 to the collections, which you'll have to contact collections when you're able to do so. Okay.
Okay, so I have a 7-day PR on the other one.
No, you have at the judge's request, you have $1,000 cash surety on your failed to appear file.
So I could get out.
No, probably not,
Why?
because the judge has set the bond on that. So that's all for the record. 2302087. We're all set on Miss Culberson. I'm going to make a note on the other file to refer to collections.
But she said I could eventually get out.
It will be
You're all
readdressed.
set, Miss Culberson. Thank you. You're all set.
See you, young lady.
Oh.
Very sure. You're gonna need that.
Your Honor, what was the time on the 10th for the preliminary exam?
Who asked the question?
Me, Your Honor, Ms. Schroeder.
All right.
I was
Yep.
just
The preliminary examination is set for August 10th at 1:30.
1:30. Thank you, Your Honor. I missed that part.
You're welcome. Next, we'll do Miss Frenchie Pearson. All right, we're on the record in docket 23-02228. That's people of the state of Michigan versus Frenchie Pearson. And sir, you are Frenchie Pearson?
Correct.
All right. And counsel, your appearance for the record?
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder on behalf of Mr. Pearson for purposes of his arraignment only.
All right. Ms. Pearson, do you know if Mr. Schroeder is going to be seeking additional representation from the Public Defender's Office?
Yes, he is, Your Honor. Going forward, yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Pearson, this is the time set for an arraignment so that you understand the nature of the allegations that have been made against you. So I will read the nature of the complaint in this matter. It is alleged that on or about July 18th, 2023 at 400 Moores Drive in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, yourself, Frenchie Darnell Pearson, did, in what's commonly referred to as assault GBH by strangulation, did make an assault upon Maria Campos by strangulation or suffocation, contrary to MCL 750.84. That's a felony, 10 years and or $5,000. DNA to be taken upon arrest. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Court shall order law enforcement collect a DNA identification profiling sample before sentencing or disposition if not taken at arrest. So, Mr. Pearson, do you understand the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to read you some felony rights that you have in this case. in this felony matter? If this 10 years or $5,000 matter, you have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have the witnesses against you appear at trial, to question those witnesses against you, to have the court order any witnesses to appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You also have the right to counsel. You've indicated that you, for purposes of arraignment, you have the public defender's office, and you plan to seek additional representation for the next 2 hearings from the public defender's office in regards to district court. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, your next hearings in district court are set. Your probable cause conference is set for July 28th, 2023 at 9 a.m. And that's in front of myself, Judge Flores. And their preliminary examination is set on August 4th, 2023 at 9 a.m. in front of myself. Sir, do you have an address other than the Mount Hope address? Well, will that Mount Hope address, is that a good address that for you to get notification or any mail from the court, but would not put you in violation of a no contact order?
No, that is my address.
All right. So the address would be then for the court file would be 605 West Mount Hope Avenue.
Correct.
All right. That's Lansing 48910. Do you have a
Yes.
phone that's a good contact number for you, sir?
517-319-7556.
Are you on probation or parole, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Are you employed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where are you employed at?
Applebee's.
And which Applebee's are you employed at?
The one on West Saginaw.
I'll enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Pearson has indicated to the court that he has a place to stay that does not put him in violation or potential violation of a no contact order with the alleged victim on this matter. He is currently employed. He is living local here. He has a grandmother as well as his mother. He's a lifelong resident of the area. He does have prior criminal record, but he indicates that was occurring around 2017, and so it'd be about 6 years ago now. He is currently working at Applebee's for the last 9 months. He has was supposed to have an interview today at 3 p.m. for a second job. As he is has 2 children. He is responsible for. I looked him up on the court record for 30th, and it does appear he has active court cases regarding 2 children. One of the children is shared in common and does have an active case with them, with the complaining witness on this matter. I do realize this is a serious allegation against him, but I would still argue and ask for a PR bond on this, as he does have family connections here in the area. He's lived here his whole life, and he does have employment. Regardless of what the bond is set at, though, I would ask that there be some type of contact allowed for the parenting time, as there is an active family court case in front of Judge Koenig over at the 30th Circuit. He indicates that there is some parenting time orders already put in place with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, if you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions. The GPS ordered with zone notification. No use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No contact with the alleged victim in this case, who is Maria Campos. And that is within 2,000 feet of her person, place of business, or work or school. And that's direct or indirect. No possession of a firearm. And a report to pretrial services within 48 hours upon release. I do have, for purposes of bond, a recommendation from the prosecutor's office indicating that for purposes of the defendant being on parole, probation, or pending other criminal charges in Eaton County Circuit Court, and the crime charge involves violence towards another person and involves an intimate partner, they're requesting a money bail bond. Other factors associated with risk of lethality are the crime was committed in the presence of children. They're requesting a money bail bond. The defendant be ordered not to present any residents of Mariah Campos. The defendant be ordered not to have any contact, direct or indirect, with Mariah Campos. Defendant not be ordered to physically assault Mariah Campos. Defendant not to use alcohol or illicit use of any controlled substance. So I also have a pretrial services report, which indicates according to their records, that this was committed while the defendant was charged with a crime alleged to have occurred while on bail pursuant to a bond personally executed by him. So they're requesting a cash bond and no personal recognizance. And it does appear the defendant has one prior misdemeanor assault history. I'm looking at the crime history of the defendant, and I have an R&O out of 2017, an UDA out of 2017, and a pending R&O out of Ingham County Circuit Court at this time. So with all those and the seriousness of the offense and the request of the prosecutor's office for a money bail bond, I'm going to set bond at $10,000, 10%. For the reasons stated on the record, criminal history, the bond recommendation from the prosecutor's office, and the bond recommendation out of pretrial services. It's set at $10,000, 10%. Please keep in contact with your public defender for your July 28th, 2023 probable cause conference and your August 4th, 2023 preliminary examination. Anything else? Oh, and then we have another file that we'll deal. But anything else on that record, on that file, 23022228, Ms. Schroeder?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Pearson, you have a pending ticket also, a balance due of $102 on an expired meter ticket that looks like it's gone as to a collections issue. Yeah, it's on July 19th, an expired meter. Do you need some? This is probably the least of your concerns, but I can give you some 90 days to clear up that ticket. Would that suffice?
You said some 90 days.
Yeah,
Like
90 days to
90
clear
days to pay it
to
off?
pay. You owe $102 on the ticket. So
Yeah, I can get
I
paid.
don't want to show cause you on it because you've already got other matters on your plate that have you incarcerated. So I'd rather put it out 90 days and see if you can pay off the balance due on that to the city of Lansing.
Yeah, I can get it paid off.
All right, so we'll set it for 90 days payment by September 5th. No, what's 90 days? That doesn't sound right. August, September. Shouldn't that be like in October? 90 days? Let me get you the real date here, okay?
Okay.
So October 17th, 2023. If you could have that paid by October 17th, you'll stay out of a warrant cycle. I understand that you've got other charges pending, but so that's October 17th is that date. You should be all set, Mr. Pearson. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Then we have a Shanna Codere. There.
Hi.
All right. All right, Ms. Coder. This is the time set for arraignment on docket 23-0229 SM. And ma'am, you are Shanna M. Coder?
Yes, sir.
All right. Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder on behalf of Ms. Coder for purposes of her arraignment. Ms. Coder, just for the court's knowledge, does intend to continue to use the Public Defender office, so we would ask for not guilty on her behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Coder, this is the time set for arraignment. I'm going to indicate for you the purposes of the allegations that have been made against you. It is alleged in a complaint misdemeanor that Shanna Marie Coder did on or about July 18th, 2023 at 1015 Johnson Avenue in the city of Lansing, Hingham County. Did in count one, what's commonly referred to as domestic violence, did make an assault or an assault and battery upon Sherry Ashworth, a resident or former resident of her household, and or an individual to whom she had a dating relationship, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being MCL 750.81 parents 2. There may be restitution ordered if this offense was a damage to another individual's property or physical injury. And this is a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. A consecutive sentence may be imposed if under the law of the state of Michigan, the assault was committed in a place of confinement, which it doesn't appear that it was in the fact pattern of this case. That's a 93-day and or $500. Do you understand the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to read you some rights you have in this misdemeanor file. You have the right to be tried by a jury. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. You have the right to have witnesses against you appear at trial. You have the right to question any witnesses that appear against you. You, of course, are represented by Aaron Schroeder for today's arraignment only. It's my understanding you intend to seek representation from the public defender's office in future hearings in this case. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses to appear in your defense. You have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right not to have that silence used against you. And you have the right to testify at trial if you choose to testify. Do you understand your misdemeanor advice of rights in this misdemeanor file, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, there's going to be a no contact order as a part of this file. I have an address of 1015 Johnson Avenue, Lansing, Michigan. Is it okay for me to put that in as your address of record without violating the no contact order, which will be in place?
No, sir. That's our joint living
All right.
dorm.
Do you have a second address that you can receive contact or notice from the court on?
Yeah, my mom, she has an apartment right now. She's literally buying a house today. I don't have the address for that, but she's sitting in your courtroom.
Okay. Do you have an address for your daughter?
I am moving today to 528 Lake Street, Eaton Rapids, Michigan.
And you expect to get your mail there?
Yes.
You get, okay. So what address is that again?
528 Lake Street,
Lake Street,
Eaton Rapids, 48827.
48827. Right. I'm going to place that in the court file for purpose of any notification for hearings. Do you have a phone number you can be reached at or for the court file, Ms. Coder?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
517-730-1100. 1427.
All right. Your next pretrial date will be on August 1st, 2023 at 10 a.m. in front of myself, Judge Flores. That's the date of on your pretrial on this misdemeanor matter. Ma'am, are you on probation or parole?
No.
Are you employed?
Yes, sir.
And where are you employed at?
I work for Tillage Air. It's an Amazon delivery service.
I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond?
I would, Your Honor, but I had a question because the address I had was a little different. I heard than what I was originally given. I just wanted to confirm 528 Lake Street, Eaton Rapids.
That's what her mother just told me in the courtroom.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Coder indicates that she does not have a prior criminal record. She has is gainfully employed here, working in delivery services for Tillage Air. She would be residing with her mother, who is not having the complaining witness regarding this matter anywhere near. She has indicated she does not have a prior failures to appear for court. She's been a lifelong resident of the area as well as family here. I don't see a flight risk or a risk to the public that can't be handled by standard bond conditions, but still, and as well as still allow her to be out on PR. Thank you.
Thank you. So, ma'am, if you're able to make bond, I'm going to set the following bond conditions. Let me find my sheet. There it is. So I'm going to order a GPS tether ordered with zone notification. No use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No contact with the victim, in this case, Cherie Lynn Asworth. That's no contact will be within 2,000 feet, direct or indirect, of where she lives. Works or goes to school, or her person. Do you need to get into the residence to get some personal belongings, ma'am?
I do. Everything's there. My car's there. Everything's there.
All right. I'm going to indicate for the record that you may go to the residence one time with a police officer. You'll have to make those arrangements to call law enforcement to get there so you can pick up any personal belongings that may come from the residence. But there has to be a police officer present, and you'll have to arrange that. All right, ma'am?
Okay.
So I've checked the MAGO box in that concern. No possession of a firearm. I've taken a look at the criminal history. There's not a criminal history here. So that is not a concern. The nature of the offense is a small concern, considering it's a domestic assault. So I'm not going to give you a PR bond, but I'm going to set a low bond in this matter of $1,000, 10%.
Okay.
Without a criminal history or anything along those lines, I'm not for assaultive behavior. I don't know if a PR bond is it's questionable, but I think a low bond in this matter concerning the facts of this case and concerning your lack of criminal history. Any questions concerning 23-02229, Ms. Schroeder?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, you're all set, Ms. Codera. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you're all set. Thank you. All right, next we'll have Ms. Dampier. Right, it's Mr. Dampier.
That is correct, sir. That is me.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm going to call the case of 23-01203. And sir, once again, you are Shannon Renee Dampier.
Correct.
All right, Ms. Schroeder, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder on behalf of Mr. Dampier for purposes of his arraignment only. Mr. Dampier indicates that he would like to continue with the Public Defender Office, so he is requesting future service. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Dampier, I'm going to read you the allegations that have been brought against you concerning this file. In a complaint misdemeanor, it's alleged that yourself on or about March 27, 2023, at the offense location of 618 North Hayford Avenue, City of Lansing, Ingham County, that you did, Shannon Renee Dampier did in count 1, commonly referred to as domestic violence, did make an assault and or assault and battery upon Catherine Cullard, an individual to whom he had a dating relationship, contrary to the laws of the state of Michigan, that being MCL 750.81 parents 2. The restitution, this offense resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury. Restitution may be ordered pursuant to the laws of the state of Michigan. This is a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. A consecutive sentence may be imposed if this happened in a place of confinement, which this does not appear to be the case in this matter. Mr. Dampier, do you understand the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you?
I do.
All right. You have some certain rights in this misdemeanor matter, and I'll walk you through those rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. You have the right to have the witnesses against you appear at trial. You have the right to question any witnesses that appear against you. You, of course, are represented by Aaron Schroeder for purposes of this arraignment, and it's my understanding you plan to seek additional representation from the Public Defender's Office in this file. Is that correct, sir?
Correct.
All right. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right not to have that silence used against you, and you have the right to testify to trial if you choose to testify. Your next pre-trial hearing in this matter is set for July 31st at 1:30, and that is in front of Judge Ward. And I have the 618 Hayford Avenue address as your address, and that seems to be where the allegation took place. So since there's going to be a no contact order with Miss Collard, is that a good address for you, or would you like another address to be contacted at?
Sir, that is her address. That is not my address. That's her
all right.
address.
What is your address, sir?
3901 Brighton. 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 I believe it's Avenue.
And is that in Lansing?
Correct.
And what's the zip code there?
48911.
Do you have a phone that's a good contact number for the file?
517-214-2262.
All right. Are you on probation or parole, sir?
Neither.
Are you employed?
I am.
And where are you employed, sir?
I work at the Ellison Brewery Company.
I'll issue a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Mr. Dampier indicates he has a place to go to that is not where the complaining witness is going to be. He is currently employed. He is working on paying some child support. Indicates that his last assaultive type conviction, to his knowledge, was about 30 years ago. Since then, he indicates it's a theft type record. He is supposed to be at work today and tomorrow. He has had prior failures to appear, but that has been due to housing instability. But he has a lot of reasons he needs to make sure he is here for court. He wants to keep his job and he wants to be able to take care of his obligations. I'd ask the court for a PR bond or a low cash or 10% bond, so he does not lose his job. Thank you.
All right,
Your
thank
Honor.
you.
Your Honor, may I address the court?
As long as you just keep it on something other than the facts of the case, and Ms. Schroeder's already spoken on your behalf, but
Right.
I'll leave it up to you and your counsel.
Okay, nothing then. Thank you.
All right. All right. If you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions. There'll be GPS tether ordered, a zone notification, no assaultive behavior, no use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription, no out-of-state travel, no contact with the victim in this case, and the victim in this case is Catherine Cullard. And that is no contract, direct or indirect, with Ms. Collard, her presence, where she works, goes to school, or resides. No possession of any firearms or dangerous weapons. I've had the opportunity to look at the criminal history in this matter. Concerning this matter, there was an extended 9-year period. I don't know where, but the last one, the last. Interesting, because then I've got, in 2019, I have some assaultive behavior that was nollie-crossed. I do have a support out of 2014. Prior allegations of, so the last assaultive crime I have an uttering and publishing out of 92, which is way back, and 87 for an unarmed robbery, which is way back. So it's with some criminal history, but nothing as of recent. This is a domestic assault charge. So there is a violence in nature of it. I'm going to set bond at $3,010%. So we set at $3,010% concerning this matter. Any questions on this file 23-01203, Ms. Schroeder?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dampier, you're all set. And Judge Ward will see you on your pretrial date on July 31st. And then we have a David LaBrosse. This is a fail to appear, right? So on the record docket 22-00987. And sir, you are David LaBrosse?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is the time set for an arraignment. Ms. Schroeder, would you like appearance for the record?
Yes, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder on behalf of Mr. LaBrosse for purposes of his arraignment today regarding this failure to appear. Thank you.
All right, this is a bench warrant issued for you for your failure to appear at a preliminary examination on May 12th of 2022. This was the motion and affidavit was requested by Court Officer Addie Nash and signed by Judge Simmons. Do you understand the nature of the warrant for your arrest for failure to appear?
Yes.
All right. You have the following dates set. You've already been arraigned on it. You have the following dates set for probable cause conference in front of Judge Simmons on August 4th, 2023 at 8:30. And your prelim is set on August 10th, 2023 at 1:30. I have here you're represented by the Public Defender's Office for purposes of this arraignment, but I have initially that you wanted to retain your own counsel. So Ms. Schroeder, does the Public Defender's Office plan to legally represent Mr. LaBrosse in future hearings on this?
That is my understanding from screening him earlier today, Your Honor, and I will submit that. So yes, he does intend to move forward with us.
All right, for the register of actions, Mr. LaBrosse, I'm gonna indicate, yes, you do intend to have the public defender represent you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Counsel, Judge Simmons did issue a cash or surety bond. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but I'll allow you the opportunity to be heard on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will note that the previous failure to appear, we were not on this matter at that time. I am unsure. I believe my understanding is that Mr. LaBrosse ended up not being able to have an attorney present with him to have the guidance and assistance of making sure that certain things did happen. However, he is employed at this time. He indicates to me that he is actually supposed to be at work today. I realize that there is a paperwork there with regard to the the intention of Judge Simmons. I'd still ask for a PR bond with appropriate conditions, but I also, because to help with his employment, and the fact that he now should hopefully have an attorney soon on board with him from our office to assist in making sure this does not happen again. So I'd ask for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. So the bond that was requested by Judge Simmons was set at $1,000 cash or surety. The defendant was out on a PR bond for $1,000 PR bond when he failed to appear on May 12th, 2022. So that's almost over a year that we lost track of Mr. LaBrosse. So I'm gonna continue bond at $1,000 cash or surety. And then, counsel, you can revisit the bond issue if Mr. LaBrosse is unable to make bond on August 4th, 2023 at the probable cause conference in front of Judge Simmons. Anything else for the file in 2200987, Ms. Schroeder?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, Mr. LaBrosse, you're all set. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you. What does cash or surety mean?
I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll explain it to you there. Okay. And then finally, we have Thomas Thalen. All right, Mr. Thalen. We're on the record docket 2300851, and sir, you are Thomas Thalen. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Schroeder, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder on behalf of Mr. Thalen for purposes of his arraignment only. Mr. Thalen indicates that he is seeking the continued representation of our office. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Thalen, this is the time set for arraignment in the matter in the people of the state of Michigan versus yourself, Thomas James Thalen. It is alleged on the complaint that on or about January 8th, 2023, at the location of 3244 North Waverly Road, City of Lansing, Ingham County, that you in count one did commit the crime of what is usually referred to as domestic violence, did make an assault or an assault and battery upon Alyssa Ader, an individual with whom he had a dating relationship, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being MCL 750.81 parents 2. Restitution may be ordered in this case if there's a result of injury or death to another individual under the law of the state of Michigan. This initial domestic assault is a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. Consecutive sentence may be imposed if this is in a place of confinement. Then there's a second offense notice to take notice the defendant was previously convicted of assaulting and battering his or her spouse, former spouse, an individual with whom he or she had a dating relationship, an individual with whom he or she had a child in common, or resident or former resident of his or her household, or knowingly assaulting a pregnant individual by violating MCL 750.81 parents 2 on or about October 11, 2019. Therefore, upon conviction, this would be a 1-year misdemeanor and or $1,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed if this happened in a place of confinement, which does not appear to be the case. So do you understand the nature of the domestic assault with the second offense notice, which makes it a 1-year offense, Mr. Thalen?
I understand, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to read you some rights you have in this 1-year misdemeanor case. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have the witnesses against you appear at trial, to question any witnesses brought against you. And you are today represented by attorney Aaron Schroeder, who would be present to cross-examine or contest any charges. It's my understanding she's appearing for purposes of arraignment, and the public defender's office is going to represent you in further hearings. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense. You have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right not to have the use that silence used against you, and you have the right to testify at trial if you choose to testify. Do you understand your misdemeanor rights in this case, sir?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. I have a pretrial set on July 31st, 2023 in front of Judge Ward. So that would be your next date. I also have the 3244 North Waverly Road address as the same address as Alyssa Ader of the allegation. If you go back to that 3244 Waverly Road address, would you be violating any no contact order in regards to Alyssa Ader?
I don't even think Alyssa lives there anymore, so there's absolutely no reason for me to ever go back to that address.
All right. So what is a good current address for you?
4442 Sycamore Street. It's in Holt. It's 48842. That is my parents' house.
Okay. Do you have a phone that's a good contact number for you?
I do. It is 517-712-4167.
All right. And are you on probation or parole?
No, Your Honor.
Are you employed, sir?
I pick up side jobs, and I actually have a job on Friday that I would really like to get to.
All right. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Thalen, for whatever reason this case was entered, he actually had a pending matter with the court back in April, and for some reason this didn't get picked up as being an issue at that time. Otherwise, he would have most certainly dealt with it then. He did not realize that there was an outstanding matter for him to still address. He is working as a handyman, as he's indicated. He has strong ties to the community with his family that he lives with. He's originally from the area. I do realize the nature of the offense, Your Honor, but he's shown up in the past for cases. He does not have a history of non-appearance. I would ask the court to consider him for a PR bond so he can avoid missing work or some type of low bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, if you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions. A GPS is ordered for zone notification. No use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No contact with the victim in this case, who is Alyssa Ader. No contact would be direct or indirect. So 2,000 feet of her person, place of business, work, or school. No possession of a firearm. I had the opportunity to see the criminal history concerning the defendant. The prior assault of domestic violence comes out of 2019. It doesn't look like there's any other priors out of that. There are some allegations that have been ended up as nolly. It's a 1 year, which is the highest in district court domestic assault. The court will issue a bond of 3,010%. Anything else for the record in 23-00851, Ms. Schroeder?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Thalen, you're all set. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Schroeder, I think we're all set. I've run out of files, so I hope so.
I believe you are correct, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you to the jail.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye
You
now.
too.
Thank you.
Look at that. Okay, it's That's Block 600 LLC versus Annalicia Rodriguez. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Thank you, Your Honor. If it may please the court, my name is John Pfeifferich. I'm here on behalf of the plaintiff, Block 600 LLC.
And ma'am, you are Annalicia Rodriguez?
Annalicia, yes.
Annalicia Rodriguez. All right, thank you. This is the time set for a formal hearing on the matter. Mr. Pfeifferich, how are we proceeding?
I guess we're going to go forward with proofs, Your Honor.
All right.
I asked the defendant as to what she wanted to do, and she said she wanted to see you.
She wanted to see me.
He said that he wasn't offering anything, that they just wanted the money that was owed. So I said, I guess we're going to talk to the judge. That's what I told him.
All right. Well, let's go forward. We'll go forward and
maybe we should do it this way, Your Honor. Maybe the question that I should be asking is, what is the defense?
I guess that's what my initial thought is. Is there a legal defense here? There's not. Okay, but it is just you, ma'am. So let me do this. Let me ask you this. Are you indicating that you don't owe the money?
No.
Okay. So are you indicating that somehow the residence wasn't kept in a form that was, well, it wasn't kept for its intended purpose? What it means is that you couldn't live in it. You could not live in the residence.
I mean, I can't afford it anymore.
Right. Well, that is this more, it's not whether you pay, it's that you can't afford to live there.
No, they sent me a non-renewal anyways. My lease is up August 20th.
All right. So I guess for our purposes, I'll listen to what you have to say, but I don't think there's a legal issue here. All right. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I mean, like I said,
all right. So explain to me what's going on here.
when I first initially took on the apartment, I was making salary. I was making 3 times the rent. I am no longer making salary. I went down to hourly at a different job, and I don't make 3 times the rent anymore. I don't even come close to 3 times the rent.
So when did you initially enter your lease?
August 20th last year.
Okay, August 20th of last year. And at that time, you could easily afford this, making the amount you were making, the rent payment.
I was making $52,000 a year.
Okay. And then sometime after that process, you stopped making $52,000 a year.
Yeah, about December.
About December
yeah.
of 2022?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your rent payment at this time? Well, what's been your rent payment?
1428, something like that.
1428. So it's not a matter of that you don't want to pay, it's just that you can't afford it right now.
Right now, no.
All right.
I can't. And yeah, it's not that I don't want to pay. I do want to pay them for me being there. I just can't afford the monthly income on top of bills and things like that.
Right. So I don't think there's a genuine legal issue here. It's more of a I can't afford it anymore issue. Yeah. All right. Well, without a genuine legal issue of fact, there's no reason to go forward. If you're indicating to me that you had a legal defense, I could understand that. It's right now. It's just a matter of we got to figure out something that works for you on some level. Mr. Pfeifferich, so I don't think there's a legal defense, a genuine legal issue of defense. It's more of just a money thing, and they can't afford to live there anymore. With that understanding, I don't think we go forward with the hearing. We're not parsing out facts. What we're doing is we're trying to figure out a date that works for you, because you can't live there anymore. Does that make sense? Mr. Pfeifferich, do you have any negotiation room, or what's going to happen is I'm going to sign an order today, and it's going to be 10 days from that date that you're going to have to move out. And I want to make sure Mr. Pfeifferich's client doesn't want your stuff on the side of the road. I don't want your stuff on the right side of the road. You don't want your stuff on the side of the road. But we have to do this timely because we're in the second hearing. This is actually a hearing phase. Would there be a 2 weeks? Would that work better?
Yeah.
Mr. Pfeifferich, would that work? 2 weeks?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So we'll set the date just to give you some time. Okay. So it's usually 10 days from my date of signature, which we're working with July 31st. All right. I will give you to August 4th. Okay, that'll give you that whole week. So it'll give you half of this week, the 20th, 21st, the entire next week, and then the following week for the August 4th date for you to be out, just because, I mean, there's no legal issue of fact. It's
No,
just,
there's not.
we just got to find a way to protect you and move you on, and because you haven't paid rent. I mean, yeah. How long have you not been able to pay rent, ma'am?
It's past 3 months.
April, May, June, and July are currently on.
So 4 months behind in rent.
Yes.
All right. So the court finds there's no genuine legal fact in this hearing that after hearing from the parties, I can easily find by preponderance of the evidence that you've not brought any claim but I find that there's no issue of fact here. There's just
The apartments were great.
yeah. So
Like I said, I just
it's
can't afford it.
just can't afford it. Okay. With that understanding, Mr. Pfeiffer, how did you want to address the judgment in the case?
Could we have maybe 5 minutes in the hallway and I'll go through the numbers with her? and make sure that
Absolutely,
we all agree.
Yeah. If go with him, and we have a date now. I think we're all on the same page, and we'll go from there.
I'll just come
Okay.
back with the numbers then.
All right.
Thank you. You're right, it is a little cramped.
It's very cramped in here.
We need smaller lawyers is what we need.
Well, I don't know. We had a 4 co-defendant case here last week. There was no room for anybody. So I don't even think smaller lawyers would help. Are you Miss Cooper? Miss Woodson. All right, you're here for your 3 o'clock.
Yes.
For Anmark?
Yeah.
All right. And Mr. Levine's here for Anmark River Shell. So when he gets here, you can.
Would you like to read some of these? No.
We'll wait for the hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Mr. Kozort, how are you?
Good. I was just wanting to confirm that my 3 all were taken off of the docket for this afternoon.
All right. So I have Mr. Mute Alduhar and Christina Adams. That's off, correct?
Correct.
And then Devin Gibson versus Brianna Chingman is also off.
Yep.
Your third one wouldn't be New Traditions, would it?
New Traditions versus Joria Cooper. We sent in the CD yesterday for that one.
That's the conditional. That's the one we can't find, Mr. Kozort. And I'm glad you said that, because I know I signed a conditional dismissal to that, and it's out there someplace. So you are all good. You are good. We just got to find where that is.
Okay. Would it be, well, I guess you don't need me to send another one. You could just print another one if you needed it. But...
We may need you to send another one, but right now let's try to find that one, okay?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you all.
Yeah. So you solved the mystery. I swear I wasn't making that up. I remember seeing your name on it. I certainly remember seeing Mr. Dua's name on it. But now we've got to figure out, I think it stuck to another file, and who knows where it is, in this file system. So we're gonna track it down.
All right. Well, if you need anything from me, just let me know.
All right. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
Thanks. You all have a great week.
You too.